What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Oh, welcome. This is your first time here. Well, guys, we all know that the southern border is wide open. To some extent, our northern border is too, but the main invasion has been happening at our southern border. And over the last few years, there's been tens of millions of fighting-age males coming across our southern border. And if you talk to most people, including a lot of conservatives, a lot of the truther community, prepping community, a lot of those people will tell you that it's simply the Democrats allowing this to happen because they want to be able to rig the next presidential election or importing more new Democrat voters. And on the surface, that sounds like probably it could be. However, it's actually not. There's a far more vicious motive for this, in my opinion. No doubt there are replacements, but if you look at the number of people that's coming through and watch the videos, you will see 90% military-aged fighting men. Men between the ages of 20 and 35 years old coming across the border. Why is that? And like I said, most people will say it is because the Democrats are wanting to import more voters. And that doesn't make any sense because we saw what happened during the last presidential election. They can do the same thing again. They're appointed, they're not elected, so they don't need to import voters. So what's actually going on here? Is this our replacement population? I think that's a big part of it. However, also, according to this review here by Jim Ferguson that was on his Twitter account, it's a much more scary motive, for lack of a better word. That's what this actually is. It's, if you think about it, it's actually horrifying. When they've imported tens of millions of fighting age males into the country, for what purpose? Let's listen to this video here and just get their take on
that. And we talked about a lot of things to do with COVID and what your experiences were with all of that. But you've also been speaking out about something else that seems to be growing exponentially every day, and that is the mass illegal immigration that's going on in England, in Wales, in Scotland, and
guys, that's something else. Most people just look at the United States, and like they said, this is happening to most Western countries, this mass importation of military-aged fighting men.
Over in Ireland as well. I mean, it is quite literally off the charts. And a lot of people are saying, look, this isn't normal. There's something not right. This isn't just refugees coming in. These aren't people fleeing from some kind of war zone. These are predominantly men aged between 25 and 35, young fighting age men, as my old boss Nigel Farage once referred to them, and I think he's right. John, what do you think's going on here, mate?
So I can tell you these are UN soldiers and they will be deployed by the WHO when they announce the next
UN soldiers to be employed by the WHO, the World Health Organization, which is controlled by the globalist cabal.
pandemic lockdown. That's what's going to happen. They've been trained by British soldiers. They've been trained by the Black Watch Regiment. They were training them in Antalya in Turkey and in the east of Ukraine. They're predominantly down to sergeant ranks. They're then shipped to France. They all sign the Official Secrets Act. Then they're ferried over. And the idea of them being ferried over is they're lost at sea. So they have to be, under international law, saved from being lost at sea, and that's why they take the route they do. The boats are housed in a Home Office compound, and then they're shipped back to France on two British haulage firm lorries, and I can supply you the details of the reg numbers. Two plain unsigned written lorries. The pallets, the outboard motors are strapped on pallets. They go on one lorry. The boats go onto the other lorry, and they're sent back to France for reuse. I've got 11 gigabytes of footage. There's a guy down there, ex-military. He's been using drones and surveillance on them for a long time. And he sent me, I've got so much footage of it actually happening. And I've got no one to edit it. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, I can give them that footage and they can, make something of it. But yeah, I know what's going on. The Home Office they're doing it deliberately.
Just to recap, you've got evidence that these boats that are coming in, they're only doing that to meet some kind of, or pass through underneath some kind of radar in terms of legislation. But
Yeah,
these are not
If you're lost at sea, they're obliged to save you. And that's the idea of them coming over in small rubber boats, is they're lost at sea. That's the maritime law. Yeah,
But
so
you're saying that these are not
no,
like
they're
normal illegal
no,
migrants.
no.
These,
If you think about it logically and kind of base it on a common sense approach, if you were fleeing war and tyranny, I don't know about you, but I would certainly take my wife and children with me. They're most precious. They're my prized asset. You know, they're everything to me. If you're going to war, you go to war with the lads. And that's these
exactly.
young men are coming over. They're going to be deployed. They will be deployed, and people will see then. You know, and I don't doubt there'll still be some muppets that will stand on their doorsteps banging pots and pans. You know, thanking these young men for helping us. You know, because initially they'll be deployed in what's perceived or conveyed as a humanitarian role.
So they're talking mostly about Ireland here. However, the same thing is happening in the United States. I don't think that every single individual coming across the southern and northern border are UN troops, but it's definitely a possibility that a lot of those could be. They're definitely military-aged fighting men. They definitely have their own agendas, and that agenda is not to become good, hardworking Americans, in my humble opinion. So they're talking about, like I said, Ireland here. However, we see the same thing here in the United States, and it's going on in other countries as well. So it's definitely not about voting and winning the next presidential election and keep making sure that Donald Trump doesn't get in office. It's way larger than that. However, unfortunately, most Americans think the whole world is right here, United States of America, and that's it. They don't see things on a wider, more global perspective, trying to put the pieces together. But this is definitely interesting. I'm not saying that this is 100% fact, but it definitely could be, and it definitely makes a lot of sense considering that we keep hearing about disease X going to be much more deadlier than COVID was, according to what the mainstream media and Bill Gates and other individuals that's involved in these type pandemics are saying. Let's listen to a little more of
I had an
this.
interview with him a couple of days ago, and he was telling me, and I'd been aware of this, but he was telling me that these illegal migrants are being recruited for police. They're illegal, right? But they're going to be given the position of police officers in Ireland to
And
police
a
Irish
vote.
people.
And a vote as well. They'll be able
And to vote. And to vote. That's what nearly made me fall off my chair, because he said they just have to prove that they've been living there in any capacity, could be a tent, for the last 6 months,
Yes.
and they will then be allowed to stand in the elections and become
Yes.
elected.
Yes. Yes. And you've
Illegal
got people,
migrants.
And so we saw some of that here, where they've been talking about the illegals having a right to the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, and to be police officers and things in the United States too. So it's a global thing. It's not just here in the United States. But anyways, guys, this is a unique take on the situation. I've not heard anyone else actually say this. I've heard them talking about military-aged fighting men because they want to import more terrorists and things like that to cause more destruction and strife here in the United States. But like I said, it's around the world. And I've not heard anyone else talk about that this is UN troops that have been trained and are sending these people to different countries to enforce future lockdowns and curfews and things like that here in the United States, mainly in the larger cities, because we see where they're shipping these people to. So who knows if this is the facts or not. It makes some sense, but I'm not saying this is 100% fact. I don't know for sure, but I thought you might like to hear this different take here on what's going on. But they're saying it's UN troops coming across into Ireland, across into the United States to be police, to enforce lockdowns, curfews, and things like that, and probably forced injections and things like that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this is legit? Do you think this is fantasy? Do you think this is total, complete bullshit? Let me know in the comments below what you think. And if you liked the video, give it a big thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore Mountain, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.